Good afternoon. I'm Tom Costabile. I have the privilege of serving as ASME's Executive Director and CEO, and I want to thank all of you for joining us at this year's Policy Impact, our annual conference on the technology policy debates occurring in Washington, and your opportunity to be involved with them. We have a great program this year, so I hope you can join our conversation both here and over the next 2 days at this online event. The program highlights we are looking forward to today includes some of ASME's brightest priorities and standards, clean energy, workforce development, and I look forward to hearing from our excellent slate of speakers. We are excited to have 3 distinguished officials from the Department of Energy on today's agenda, and we'll be closing out with a panel focusing on some timely workforce issues. So to begin, I'd like to welcome our first guest, Dr. Laurie Locascio, Undersecretary of Commerce for Standards and Technology and the 17th Director of the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Given ASME's long history in technology standards and certification, NIST has always been a critical partner in our mission to advance engineering for the benefit of humanity. Dr. Locascio was confirmed to her post last month, so we're honored to be that she is one of our first speaking engagements and here. So I had the opportunity to chat with Dr. Locascio a few days ago, and Laurie, all I can say is welcome. We really appreciate you being there where you are and look forward to working together. So
thank you. Sorry, I interrupted.
So with that, Laurie, please, you're no stranger to NIST. You've got a long-standing tenure there, including a couple of prior roles, Acting Associate Director for Laboratory Programs, and the #2 position at NIST. So I know you've got a lot to share with us today. So without further ado, Laurie, please welcome.
Well, thank you, Tom, and for that very kind introduction. And honestly, I'm genuinely excited to be here and to be able to join all of you here today. Yes, ASME has had a long relationship with NIST and a tremendous partner over the years in efforts to strengthen advanced manufacturing capabilities and, of course, in standards development. For instance, ASME is publishing a new standard for 3D printing based in large part on research conducted at NIST. And as we look to the future, there are clear areas of mutual interest, including all the topics you'll be discussing today. So I should start by saying that, yeah, I had been at NIST for 30 years before I went off to academia, but I am so grateful for this opportunity to come back, the opportunity that President Biden gave me when he nominated me for Undersecretary and NIST Director. And I hit the ground running when I was confirmed a few weeks ago to really start acting on the administration's priorities. So NIST is one of the nation's oldest physical sciences laboratories, and we have a proud history of working closely with industry to support their needs. We call ourselves industry's national laboratory, and that moniker is because NIST is really dedicated through and through to supporting US competitiveness across a broad range of sectors. And as many of you know know about NIST, NIST works across the continuum from the most fundamental measurement science research that leads to new discoveries to applied research that solves the more immediate problems of today, to new tools and standards and networks that support industry and grow a robust manufacturing base for the United States. So at this time, NIST is being called on to help resolve difficult supply chain issues, to implement one of the most significant new programs to bolster the semiconductor industry, to secure our cyberspace, to make our country more resilient and our building safer, including through the investigation of the collapse of Champlain Towers South in Florida, and of course, to increase the opportunity for everyone to succeed, whatever their gender or their race or their background. In addition, the president has called on us to lead the way in the revitalization of US manufacturing through the work of the MEP, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and the Manufacturing USA program. So it's truly an exciting time to be here at NIST, and I am committed as the director to ensuring that NIST is positioned and resourced to support America's competitiveness so that our workers and our companies and our small businesses can succeed in this global economy. And so with with that, I'd like to share 4 of my top priorities for NIST in the coming months, and these are in no particular order. So first, critical and emerging technologies. We must ensure that the US remains a leader in the development and deployment of critical and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and next generation communications, quantum information science, and biotechnology, among others, as these are all essential for the future US economy. Scientific and technological advances in all of these fields have expanded opportunities for industry, but they've also created unique challenges. And that is why NIST research to develop the measurements and the standards that cultivate trust in that technology is so critical. So recognizing this important role, the President's FY23 budget request calls for an additional $80 million to expand and strengthen NIST capabilities targeting critical and emerging technology areas. But along with our internal research program in measurement science, an important focus of NIST efforts in critical and emerging technologies is our work to strengthen US engagement in standards development. With growing foreign competition in standards development, there's a clear need for greater attention to our standard system. And it's more important now than ever for US leadership in international standards to protect our position and to ensure that the standards development process remains global and transparent and, of course, fair. And we need industry's continued commitment to the US policy of bottoms-up, industry-led standards development. We should also continue to expand our investments in the underpinning R&D efforts, including the efforts at NIST and, of course, in industry, so that the United States presents the strongest technical contributions in standards efforts. And the work that ASME supports in this space is enormously important, and I can't overstate that. I look forward to partnering with you and other industry partners as NIST expands its efforts to, first, coordinate policy and regulation to facilitate private and public sector engagement in international standard setting. 2, to ensure that the US is a welcoming location for hosting international standards events. 3, to reduce barriers to industrial participation in standard setting, especially by small and medium-sized companies. And 4, to facilitate professional development in standard setting. The second priority that I'd like to discuss is advanced manufacturing. And in this area, NIST and ASME have many, many shared goals. We have been a partner to the US manufacturing sector for more than a century, as you have. And so NIST has a proven track record in delivering useful tools and technical assistance that existing and new manufacturers really need and rely on to be successful. As NIST director, I will ensure that the research across the NIST laboratories, but also, of course, in perfect harmony with the efforts of MEP and the Manufacturing USA program, are aligned and coordinated to provide first the research, but also the technology, the data, the standards, and the services needed to strengthen American manufacturing and improve supply chain resilience, something that we're so desperately in need of now. The President's FY23 budget request for NIST included a $117 million increase in funding for MEP. And today there are 51 MEP centers that work with manufacturers to help them develop new products and customers, expand and diversify markets, adopt new technologies, and enhance value within the supply chains. And this additional investment in MEP will strengthen the network's efforts in supply chain resilience. It focuses hard on that, but it will also launch new initiatives to expand the pool and diversity of workers in the manufacturing sector. And finally, enable greater technology adoption by small and medium manufacturers. The FY23 budget request also includes $97 million to expand NIST's role in Manufacturing USA. The US government, of course, currently funds 16 Manufacturing USA institutes, and each Each institute is a public-private partnership with a distinct technology focus, working to secure the future of US manufacturing through innovation and education and extensive collaboration across the United States. These additional funds would allow NIST to sponsor 4 new institutes in areas that would be determined as most relevant to the current needs of US industry. In support of the efforts to plan for an expanded NIST Manufacturing USA program, NIST just announced 7 new awards that bring together industry and other partners to create roadmaps identifying R&D needs, workforce needs, and manufacturing capabilities needs in areas that include infrastructure, quantum, AI, 5G, sustainability, and the equitable commercialization and industrialization of space. The third priority that I wanted to mention, of course, is supply chain resilience and specifically chips. So it should go without saying that with passage of funding for the programs authorized in the FY21 NDAA known as the CHIPS Act, implementation of that program will be one of the biggest priorities of the Department of Commerce and NIST. Through incentives to expand manufacturing capability and investment in R&D and prototyping activities, the CHIPS Act is really meant to ensure that our future US semiconductor industry is both robust and secure. And so NIST has been working very closely with the Department of Commerce to plan for the successful implementation of that program. And in support of the department's planning efforts, NIST issued a request for information to inform the design of programs to first incentivize investment in semiconductor manufacturing facilities across the United States. Second, to provide for shared infrastructure that can really accelerate semiconductor R&D and prototyping. And third, support research related to advanced packaging, but also metrology to underpin a very strong domestic semiconductor industry. And that request for information closed on March 25th. We received over 200 unique responses from industry and academia and various trade associations. And in addition, we hosted 16 outreach events, which will also help to inform the department's planning for implementation of these programs. So we're really ramping up and getting ready and hoping that passes soon. And the last area that I wanted to mention as one of my priorities is cybersecurity. And of course, that area cuts across all of the issues I've already discussed. For 50 years, NIST has conducted cybersecurity research and developed cybersecurity guidance, leading to extraordinary technical advancements. And at the heart of NIST's work in cybersecurity is our work to deliver trusted cryptographic standards that are widely adopted by governments and industries globally. And so in that vein, NIST has been working on the development of updated post-quantum cryptography standards. So the standards that will be needed to encrypt after quantum computers become ubiquitous. And we've led a multi-year effort to identify and select the next generation of algorithms, which we hope to be announcing in the very near future. And finally, NIST is working with the community to update the NIST cybersecurity framework with a focus on digital supply chain issues. So the recent SolarWinds cyber attack, which inserted malicious code into systems across companies and government agencies throughout the United States and accomplished this through software updates, really exposed our extreme vulnerabilities in the software supply chain. So as we're updating the cybersecurity framework to include information on digital supply chain issues, I invite all of you to engage with us. And finally, just let me conclude by thanking Tom and ASME for the opportunity to talk to you about the important work that NIST and the Department of Commerce are engaged in. NIST is a small agency, but has incredibly important responsibilities related to global competitiveness. And the way that we accomplish our work is really to leverage the work of others and partner very, very closely with other experts. So I look forward to continuing to engage with ASME and your members as we work together to make America more innovative and competitive.